Welcome back to the Kennel, a Cleveland football podcast, episode 121. It's been a long time, and for that, we're kind of sorry. No, we're definitely sorry. A lot of you have been hitting us up, and it's good to be back. And we're going to be back for the rest of the season, totally in theory, unless something crazy happens. But for real, no, twice a week. Pre-game, post-game, we're back on it. Promise, most likely, almost every time.
Yeah. We're like semi-successful men.
Very busy
with responsibilities
lately. Yes.
Outside of this podcast that makes us no money. So we're... maybe.
Anyways, we're back. We're excited to be back. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Football Kennel. We'll occasionally tweet some stuff. We have been lately. Instagram...
Probably not.
I don't know. Full disclosure, I don't have any of the apps on my phone, so like Twitter on desktop, that's kind of fun, but that's about as far as I go with it. So we'll feel it out, and we'll make sure we're doing this twice a week, and we're probably, maybe still part of the ATB Sports Network.
Yeah, so follow them on Twitter at atvsports.net. And
that's the one.
Their website is atvsports.net.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. You get it. We're probably still on there. Yeah. I'm assuming we're maybe.
If not, who cares?
Yeah,
check them out.
Good.
They're cool.
So we have a lot of catching up to do. Obviously, the Browns have been very busy since you and I last spoke. You being the viewer, me being
Stevie James,
the host. Oh, yeah, I'm Stevie James Giantrada. Did we say that?
Probably.
Whatever.
It's a soft return.
Yeah.
We're working our way back.
We're figuring it out. It's going to be cool. We have ideas and things that we might do. It's going to be awesome, but we're going to get caught up a little bit and get back into the swing of things. So let's get right into it in talking about who else? The Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns. So we missed a lot of off-season stuff. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty because I would assume by now you guys have a good idea of who's on the team and who's not on the team.
You guys know the roster. No preseason, so who cares?
Yeah, that didn't happen. I think that's what kind of made us fall off is just there was nothing going on in the off-season. Everything on Twitter and news has like little to do with football, and as you guys know, we only talk about football.
Only football and only Cleveland Browns football.
Yeah, 90% Cleveland Browns football, 10% football, 0% politics or drama. Zero, never. Don't do it.
And the world right now is nothing but politics and drama.
Those two things, yeah.
The football season kind of came out of nowhere because no preseason.
Exactly. So we kind of fell behind.
Not as much off-season activity, so yeah.
That's okay, we're back. So we're going to recap really briefly. Week 1. We played the Baltimore Ravens.
And it was a forgettable game.
And, we lost horribly. It was terrible. I don't think we need to...
It's a big disaster.
I don't think we need to overanalyze that. That happened, and what are you going to do?
What I will point out, it was obviously disappointing. I mean, looking back at our schedule predictions, which is always fun to do, I actually predicted a loss to the Ravens, and of course you predicted a win, being who you are.
I had a dream that we were going to win on opening day.
I know, I remember that.
Spoiler alert, didn't come true.
Did, right.
Yeah.
But I will say that what made it the most disappointing wasn't that we lost, because I predicted a loss, so obviously I, in a way, saw it coming. It was how we lost, and how utterly embarrassing we looked out on the field, which is not what we expected coming into the 2020 season, obviously.
Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing, and the lack of off-season, lack of preseason, new head coach, tons of injuries on defense, et cetera, really reared its ugly head, and as we know, we're trying to be a running team. We want to run the ball a lot, which we did against the Bengals. We'll get into that. But against the Ravens, we fell behind quickly, and all of a sudden, we can't use the offense the way we want to use it. So we were forced to throw the ball a lot more than we wanted to. OBJ didn't look great in that game, and then all the rumors start kicking up. Brown's going to trade OBJ. Should they bench Baker for Case Keenum? After 1 week, pure insanity.
And of course, Baker didn't look that great either. But
he didn't look great. I'll give that to him.
Just breaking down the film of that first game, and I don't want to stick too long on week 1 because obviously week 2 is way more entertaining. It was a lot of Baker being behind. I felt like he was, how the saying goes, he was seeing ghosts.
Yeah, he was questioning himself. He's still working on getting his footwork fixed, which is
because they switched that up. They switched up his technique, which is always a big question mark when it comes to quarterbacks. They've been used to doing something since high school, sometimes earlier, all the way into college, into the NFL. So for them to switch, a standard mechanic, which is the footwork, definitely brings up some concern. But looking good.
Yeah, I think we rebounded pretty nicely, obviously.
Had to.
The Ravens game, it's one game. It's week 1. It sucks that it's against a divisional opponent on the road. the game got away for us. Going into towards halftime, OBJ dropped that pass. That was a 14-point swing. You got to think if he catches that and we get a field goal or points, the whole tone, as we know, football is a game of momentum. So we did get blown out, but I think it could have very easily been a closer game, a closer blowout, if you will. And there were some things that I liked. I mean, just the Ravens are crazy
really
good. Yeah.
And we've said this in the past. If the Browns are competitive, it doesn't really matter whether they win 16 games in a row. If it's fun to watch, if it's competitive, if there's improvement, we can chalk it up to a rookie head coach, a new system. We can talk about the loss of the preseason, the loss of that extra training camp time frame that you get with a new head coach, which we didn't get, that extra time that the players get to kind of build that chemistry and get down on this new system. None of that happened this season. So sure, we can fall on that if the games are still watchable and fun and there's a little bit of competitiveness. And obviously against the Ravens, that was not the case. But you mentioned the running game and how we fell behind early, and which obviously made us divert from the game plan. Still able to run at 138 yards with Kareem Hunt getting 72 yards on 13 carries, Nick Chubb 60 yards in 10. So still really good.
We can run on the Ravens. Next time we face them, if we're able to get out to an early lead like we did against the Bengals.
Or just keep it manageable.
I think we have more of a shot. I mean, just when you get behind, I think at halftime it was 24-6. I mean, at that point.
It's like you mentioned, it's the momentum coming off of Odell Beckham dropping that ball on the third down, which could have made all the difference. We don't know that he catches that ball and converts it third down and we go and score. We don't know that, of course, but you would think that would be what happens in that situation. We convert that third down, and we were driving before that. So we keep that drive going. We maybe score. Don't let them get the ball with, I think they had 46 seconds, and they were able to bring it down. And did they score again, or did they get the field goal there? Either way, it was a forgettable game.
Yeah, I've blacked out most of it from my memory. Luckily, we had the quick turnaround
into Thursday Night Football,
which made me a little nervous. You're getting blown out. You have a quick turnaround onto Thursday Night Football, prime time. A lot of question marks, but I was very impressed with how quickly the team was able to turn things around. Honestly, we looked like a completely different team.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some issues with the defense. We'll get into that. But from an offensive standpoint, I think Kevin Stefanski, I like that he keeps it chill. He's not an emotional head coach. Neither is our GM. I think that was the problem with Freddie and Dorsey, and maybe they had some potential, but they were very emotional guys.
Sure.
Where Stefanski especially is very even keel. And you even saw that after the win, which we can get into as well. But going into this game, it's clear that our MO is going to be play action, zone reads, a lot like it was when we had Kyle Shanahan and Brian Hoyer had that awesome year until the wheels fell off and Johnny Manziel came in and all hell broke loose in typical Cleveland fashion. But this is a similar concept as that, except now we have two dynamite running backs, I don't care what you think about Baker Mayfield. He's better than Brian Hoyer, period, even at this current stage. I don't care what anybody says. And then you have OBJ, Jarvis Landry, all these tight ends. You can see now why we brought in why we got Hooper, why we drafted another tight end, because even with Njoku going out, we still have these good tight end options. But anyways, to start off the game against the Bengals, we threw it on 3 out of the first 4 plays. And Baker completed his first 4 or 5 passes for nearly 100 yards. A lot of that coming from the bootleg off of the play action.
Yeah, he was perfect early on in the game.
Yeah,
and 5 for 5 or something.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden the defense has to step back a little bit. You have to respect the speed of OBJ. You have to respect the underneath routes of Jarvis Landry. You have to watch out for the tight ends. And oh, by the way, we have 2 of the best running backs in the NFL.
Sure, and I think it's clear. Stepping out of week 2. I mean, obviously it's still Sunday now at the point of recording. We'll release this on Monday, but it's pretty clear that Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are easily the best running back tandem in the league right now.
Oh, by 100 miles. I could sit here and make an argument for each one of them are in the conversation for best running back in the NFL.
Sure.
And you put them together. And it was crazy. I was watching the NFL Red Zone channel today, watching other teams. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, almost every play you feel like they can take it the distance, and almost every play they're breaking tackles. Literally every time, bouncing off people, juking people, making extra yards, and you just don't see that with almost any other running backs in the league. What they're able to do from a power and a quickness standpoint is just incredible to watch.
It's important and kind of a big deal that we signed him to that 2-year extension. I think a big part of that is the mindset that we're not in it to build. Like, we are in it to build right now, but the idea is short-term playoffs. I mean, you don't sign somebody to a 2-year contract with the mindset of, well, maybe in 4 years, 5 years, we'll have enough of the pieces in place to maybe take it all the way. So if you're keeping somebody around for 2 years with Nick Chubb, it's because you want that tandem and you want to build that offense within the next 2 years to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I was very surprised to see that we were able to sign Kareem Hunt to an extension for not that much money compared to what some of the other running backs are getting. I know he's got a bit of a history, and I think the contract works out for him because it is a shorter contract. It's $13 million over the course of 2 more years, so we'll have him this season, the next season, the season after that. When that deal ends, he'll only be 27 years old. There's going to be a new CBA in place. He'll be able to get another big payday before he moves forward. And I saw some people on NFL.com and some other articles criticizing Kareem Hunt for taking that deal and essentially saying that he could have made more money, could have held out for this offseason to get a bigger contract, et cetera, et cetera. Why did he take this deal? Well, Kareem Hunt grew up in Northeast Ohio rooting for the Cleveland Browns. So my thinking is, I have the opportunity, if I'm Kareem Hunt, I have the opportunity to get paid $13 million to play for my hometown team. Like, I would play for the Browns right now for free. you give me $13 million to play for the Cleveland Browns. That's goals.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I could have made $20 million. At some point, what difference does it make? Him and Nick Chubb are best friends. He's clearly happy to be in the area and in the building, and I'm stoked to have him. We have Nick Chubb this year and under contract next year. You got to think he's going to be get an extension going into the following year. So our backfield is just incredible. My favorite thing in the world is just like a 10-yard run. And
we've been getting those, man.
The offensive line opens it up. I mean, investing into the offensive line has been wonderful. Our rookie left tackle has been showing out. He's been tremendous. And even in this game, we had some injuries on the offensive line, and we weren't sure if J.C. Tretter was going to go, and then Jack Conklin ended up not playing, so we had to slide in Chris Hubbard, who last year was a bit of a disaster.
Yeah.
But it turns out he's a pretty good backup. He can come in and
that's what he did for the Steelers.
Yeah, he can come in and hold it down for a game, and I thought he played extremely well. So
sure,
I would look forward to getting Jack Conklin back.
Of course, one of the best, if not.
But the offensive line did
tackles right now.
Yeah, but the offensive line did incredible, and the whole national media and a lot of Browns fans are saying, "Well, it's just Cincinnati, and we only won by 5." Well, I get that.
I know. I was gonna bring that up, man. It's not all cloud nine for me. I enjoyed the victory. I enjoyed putting 35 on the Bengals, but there's a couple of things to look at that are definitely concerning. One, it is just the Bengals, and it's not only just the Bengals, it's the Bengals with a depleted offense and a depleted defense. They had some key injuries on the defensive line. They had some key injuries on their offensive line as well. So the fact that they were able to put up 35, or they were able to put up 30 on us, and then obviously most of those points coming near the end of the game, but still, it is concerning. With a rookie quarterback on a short week, statistically never happens. This week for me was a big telltale sign on what the season was going to look like, because if we lost to the Bengals, which obviously we didn't, it would have been a really big deal, because again, statistically, short weeks, rookie quarterbacks, just does not happen that they perform well and the team wins. But this team was able to put 30 on us. Our defense is going to struggle this year, and we're not always, from an offensive perspective, going to be facing the Bengals defense.
Yeah, and I'll tip my hat to Joe Burrow. I thought he was awesome as a rookie quarterback.
Well. He's going to be a great quarterback, I think.
And he does have a lot of weapons on offense. The offensive line is obviously questionable. I mean, we're able to pressure him, but they had schemed nothing but short, quick passes. His average time before throwing was like 2.5 seconds or something. But even still, Myles Garrett had 9 pressures in this game compared to the Bengals, their entire team having 3. But in this game, Joe Burrow threw the ball over 61 times exactly, and no interceptions, which is very impressive. And he was only sacked 3 times despite being hurried so much. So I thought he played really well. He had some nice runs. And I'll say this about our defense, as you mentioned how the Bengals are a little beat up on the offensive line. Our defense is extremely beat up. If you just look at it from just a broad perspective, we're missing both starting safeties, which I know Delpit's out for the year, so it is what it is. But if you just look at it on paper, we're missing both starting safeties, we're missing our number 2 corner, and we're missing 2 of our starting linebackers. That's in our second and third level of the defense. It's damn near the whole thing. So I'm not surprised that we struggled against the pass. On the flip side, we were pretty good against the run before they had to abandon it to try to get back into the game. But we kept Joe Mixon in check. He had 16 carries for only 46 yards. So I'm used to running backs having 30 carries for 200 yards against the Browns. There was a stat going into this game. We hadn't allowed a 300-yard passer in over 22 games. And that's just because we just get run all over. Sure. So it was nice to have a lead in this game. The other team be forced to pass it. I thought Joe Burrow played well. I am worried about the defense, but now we have 10 days off before the next game. We're in the middle of that now. And apparently Greedy's going to be back. Joseph's going to be back. The safety we got from Jacksonville is going to finally start to get involved. Mac Wilson apparently is starting to get healthy. So getting a lot of those guys back is going to make a really, really big difference.
I mean, I hope to see it for sure. I mean, big thing for me is that a lot of those pieces weren't really here, except for, obviously Mac Wilson and Greedy. And I don't know that the potential is quite there yet for those guys to come back and immediately make an impact. Will they be difference makers? I don't know yet. I don't think there's enough info on any of them. I think obviously Greedy, still very young, coming into his second year. Mac Wilson, still very young, coming into his second year. Really saw limited play because he wasn't a starter last year. So this is his first time really being a starter. Well, before the injury to Christian Kirksey, but you know what I mean.
Going into the season,
and he didn't start all 16 games. So, and I don't know. Again, you know how I felt about us not re-signing Joe Schobert. Obviously, I didn't feel that strongly about us not re-signing Christian Kirksey, but in hindsight, I feel like we should have at least brought one of those guys back to kind of just put it all on the rookies, Mac Wilson and Taki, and then think that we can get some supplemental guys on the backside to back them up. I just don't think that was good planning for our linebacking core, for our front seven, and really against the pass in particular, because that's where we've struggled year in and year out, especially passes up the middle to tight ends. Those are...
I know, that's why we drafted Delpit, because that was going to be his primary role as the center of the field and the tight end, so it really sucks losing him for the whole year. I know he's just one guy, but you take him at the top of the second round, you plan on...
I just think I'm going to point with the Browns where using injuries or really any excuses, I'm over it. We make them... Every year is an excuse. Every year we find another reason to be like, well, we weren't that good because of this, and that. And then that's always... We make those excuses, but then turn around and immediately ask to blow it up and say we need a new head coach, we need a new front office, we need to start over. I'm just not trying to see that anymore. I'm not trying to see that with this coaching staff. I'm not trying to see that with this front office. I'd like for them to keep it at least somewhat consistent and keep it competitive and fun. I don't think we're going to win a bunch of games and go to the Super Bowl this year, but I'd like for us to finally start seeing the building of that foundation to get us somewhere within the next year or two. Within that window, like I said, of us extending Kareem Hunt, before we need to start dishing out extensions for Chubb and Baker and all these different guys that are key pieces, Denzel Ward and all these different things. Before we need to restructure our roster, I'd like for them to start building on that consistency. So I'm over the excuses. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm not making any excuses. I'm just kind of laying out what the situation is.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just giving you the excuses as to why the defense isn't as good.
I'm just saying I wouldn't expect the secondary to be good when we're missing 3 of the 4 starters. I wouldn't expect the linebackers to play well when we're missing 2 starters. And the starters we have, we don't even know how good they are over the course of a season. So it depends what your expectations are. I don't have high expectations for the defense. The one thing that I do have high expectations for on the defensive side is the defensive line with Myles Garrett. Claiborne played really well. Vernon's always hurt, so who knows. But in this game, we saw Sheldon Richardson just kill it, have a great game. In week 1, we saw Ogunjobi have a great game. And also in this game, we saw Denzel Ward. He did allow 1 touchdown, but outside of that, he looked phenomenal, swarming to the ball, incredible in man-to-man coverage. So I think with this team, if we're able to get a lead early and run the ball, and then on our defensive side, rely on Myles Garrett generating pressure, Denzel Ward locking down their number 1 option, I think we have a really good chance in a lot of games. And don't forget, there's a 7th playoff spot now. That's reserved for the Cleveland Browns. We are getting that 7th playoff spot. That is ours at least. And then who knows what happens. But I think, to your point about the core seeing the core be in place, I think that core is in place.
At least offensively, I agree.
Yeah, the offensive line, I think if you look at the defensive line with Myles Garrett, if Mac Wilson can be as good as we think he can be, if Delpit, when he's healthy next year, can be as good as we think he can be, I think Denzel's already there. He's a lock. And then if Greedy can stay healthy, I think that's another piece too. So I think we're starting to see this nucleus come together. We have a lot to prove this year, especially after what happened last year. But what's nice is no matter what happens this year, at least we have like a competent coach that makes decisions that, okay. Like, for example, in this game, we went for it on 4th down at like the 1 yard line. He ended up not getting it. And at first I was like, why would he do that? Just take the points. And then I thought about it more. I'm like, well, look at the play selection. 1st down, pound it with Chubb. 2nd down, pound it with Chubb. 3rd down, take a shot to OBJ. 4th down, pound it with Chubb. I'll do the same thing. That's not like Freddie Kitchens would have thrown it 4 times. Like, I'm not mad about that. Like, you can be aggressive if it's smart, and that's a smart way to approach it. So I think in general we're in good hands, and we do have more talent on this roster than any of our terrible teams in the past have had. So there is a lot of potential to do well. And next week we have the Washington football team who's not very good either. So
no, they're not very good. But they did rally for the week 1 win. So
they did. They did indeed. They did beat the Eagles, but the Eagles, who knows what they're up to.
Well, my concern is, I think you're right about everything you're saying. My concern is just that I don't want to see a flip-flopping team. I don't want to see us get blown out 1 week, win barely next week, get blown out the next week. I want to build on that consistency, like I'm saying. I just want us to be competitive week in and week out, even if we're losing. So I think that's totally doable. Teams get blown out in the NFL, don't get me wrong. But that doesn't happen as often as it seems to happen to the Cleveland Browns.
Well, we've been pretty bad for a long time. You know what's crazy? We still have the 4th youngest roster in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's
still pretty young.
Saw that the other day. I was like, oh yeah, we're still one of the youngest teams. That's crazy. And Baker Mayfield is on his 4th head coach.
But we're forever going to be a team with a young roster if we constantly just blow it up.
Exactly, which I think we're done doing. The GM's on the same page as the head coach. We got people in the right place. Re-signing Kareem Hunt's a good sign. I'm just so giddy about Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Right now, Kareem Hunt's on pace for 1,264 rushing yards. Nick Chubb's on pace for 1,480, and they're on pace for a combined 32 touchdowns. That's just
pretty unbelievable.
Broken. I know it's early in the season, but that's broken.
Well, I guess we should do a. What was our segment that we used to do for?
On pace for.
On pace for.
It's too early, though. It's only been 2 games.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just saying.
But maybe. No, I just did it. There's our on pace for segment. We did it. Excellent. So I think there's a lot to be optimistic about, and we haven't even talked about it, but the jerseys are beautiful. It's so nice seeing the Browns back in just Browns jerseys.
I know.
Rather than the weird Cleveland stripes coming too far along the front, this shit going on. We're back to this, and everything is right again. This is how it's supposed to be. Anthony Henry, 10 interceptions, rookie year. What was that, 2002? Those are the glory days. Anyways.
Or this one. Is that Bernie?
Tim Couch.
Tim
Couch, our boy. So anyways, I feel good about the direction we're headed. It's nice that we have this extended time to get things more in order. I think Baker Mayfield has shown that he can be better, and he's starting to get the footwork in order. He's running the Stefanski offense, which is a lot like the Kyle Shanahan offense. And I think if he continues to get comfortable in that role, and I was kind of saying this before, this is his 3rd season. He's already on his 4th head coach. Mm-hmm. That's insane. That's not... We talk about it all the time.
It's
continuity.
The Cleveland Browns curse.
I know. It's insane.
It's the reason why I'm over it. I'm over the constant turnover. That's what I'm talking about. It's a problem. Every coach, every consistent team, every good team in the NFL has had a coaching staff in place for a long time, a quarterback in place for a long time, and a staff in place for a long time. And even if they don't, usually the turnover is like internally. So if they're replacing the GM, it's with somebody that's been working in their front office for 9 to 13 years.
Well, that's what the Ravens and Steelers do. Like the Steelers lost Todd Haley, and then I even forget his name. Some other guy slid right into offensive coordinator, and he's just been the offensive coordinator for the past few years.
Vikings kind of do it similarly. although right now with Mike Simmers, their coach.
Yeah, they're looking a little bad right now.
They're struggling. Kirk Cousins threw like 3 interceptions this last game, but
looks like they miss Kevin Stefanski.
It's possible that that's a part of it too. They're adjusting to a new offensive game plan. I think Mike Simmers known mostly to be a defensive coach too. So.
Yeah, that's why he relied on the guys for the offensive stuff. So I don't know. I'll tell you what though. I really like Kevin Stefanski. I feel
I'm a fan,
and we've done this song and dance before.
Sure.
I feel like this is
we were Freddie guys. We were Hugh guys. We were Hugh apologists.
We held out for Hugh as long as we could.
Yeah. Well, it's part of that deep desire for just some type of consistency.
At the end of the day, we're always irrational Browns fans. So we will hold out for people, even if it's completely insane to do so.
Sure.
But I think Freddie Kitchens tricked everybody.
Oh, so, yeah. Well, so did Hugh.
And so did Hugh at first. But by
Hugh for a while was like the top seeded coach.
Yeah,
everybody
he was supposed
wanted
to be the
him.
guy. And everyone was super stoked for Freddie, and that didn't work out. But Kevin Stefanski, nobody was too excited about. It's been pretty chill.
Everyone had who do we want? Usually, most people wanted the guy from the Patriots.
Josh McDaniels. A lot of people were leaning towards, which I can understand that. But Kevin Stefanski was more chill. He's been chill since taking over. I think that's important. After the game in Cincinnati, the reporter was asking Baker Mayfield, "How'd you wake up feeling today?" And he was like, I felt fine. We're done with that. That's the one thing I want to touch base on too. I don't know if it's Kevin Stefanski's doing or just Baker learning on his own, but Baker's like a totally different guy now. He's at least trying to be stoic, mature, humble leader. I know he got humbled last year, but do you think he's going to be able to have success without all the antics? Do you think the new Baker is?
I think there's no other way to have success in the NFL. We don't really see it often, at least at the quarterback position. And those types of performances in and out every week, and keeping yourself even keel. It typically is almost like a main ingredient in the recipe of a successful quarterback in the NFL.
You got to keep it chill. You got to keep it chill. Yeah. And I said this towards the end of last year that trying to be positive as the eternal Browns optimist, that Baker and a lot of people on our team needed last year. The media got in our heads, Dorsey got in our heads, Freddie got in our heads, and everybody was Super Bowl, Super Browns, and their heads are the size of these freaking bobbleheads. And as a result, we fell right on our faces. But I think long term, I think that's going to teach everyone a lot. And LeBron said it when he came back to Cleveland. Nothing in Cleveland is given. Everything is earned. Our sports teams are just inherently unlucky. Everything that's a little difficult for other teams is extremely difficult for the Browns. Everything that's easy for other teams is nearly impossible for the Browns. So it's going to take that attention to detail, that patience, that maturity, the ability to fail and to learn from it and bounce back, to never get too high, never get too low. And I think that's what Stefanski brings, and I think it's contagious, and I think it's rubbed off on Baker. And you've even seen OBJ, Jarvis, etc. They've been a lot more chill and put together, and that's why I love having a presence like Nick Chubb, because that's just his MO in general.
Sure.
So I think from a locker room standpoint, we've really put something nice together. This team being young, continue to grow and build, but I just feel really good about this year moving forward, and I feel really good about facing the Washington football team next year, which I'm already kind of next week, which I'm already kind of like used to saying, Washington football team. I think it's a great name. I think I've called them
the Redskins a bunch of times.
I think they should keep Washington football team forever.
They might.
It's an awesome name.
They probably won't. I guess they're in dispute with a certain name.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome name.
Yeah, I think it was, from what I was reading, it's like a timing thing. They didn't have they didn't have the deals in place and the marketing in place and the shirts and stuff for not.
They got all the stuff for football team. They might as well commit to it.
That was just like a W. That's not,
I know. Well, I'm excited.
They literally type font W. And
they didn't change any colors.
It into the helmet. Yeah,
which is funny. That's why I'm excited for the matchup next week. It's the Cleveland Football Browns and the Washington Football Team. Yes.
Epic.
Yes, just football. You know what I mean? I love no frills, no cheerleaders,
gimmicks.
no nothing.
For sure.
I like the Browns field, how at the 50 we just have the brown stripe, no logo or anything, just that brown stripe at the 50. I thought that was nice.
That's kind of what you've been asking forever.
Yeah, I love it.
Except for the end zones now. You don't like the checkered or the stripes or whatever?
Well, they didn't have the stripes.
Oh, right. What do we have now?
Just says like Browns and Cleveland on the other side.
Nice.
Which I'm fine with that. Cleveland Browns, that's fine. AFC logo, I can get into that. I still think it'd be cooler with nothing, but I could get into that.
Sure. Yeah.
I could get into that. And the new jerseys are beautiful. That's all that really matters. We wore the orange pants. It was incredible.
Do you have one yet?
No, I'm not really a big jersey guy in general. So I only have one Browns jersey right now. So
yeah,
that is what it is. Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty bad at I'm pretty bad at like buying a bunch of jerseys for like players that we get rid of within like a season or two.
That makes it tough. Yeah, getting rid of so many players. And the other thing is, when I was younger, jerseys were cooler, but now like something about buying the jersey of a man younger than me. It just seems, I don't know, it's a little weird to me, but I respect it.
That's a weird. Never heard anybody explain that as a reasoning for not wanting to buy
That's how I feel.
jersey.
It's just like a little weird to me, but it's fine. I respect. I'm not like saying, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, me personally, it's a little weird.
When I wear a jersey of a specific player, I guess I just don't feel like I'm specifically repping the player. I'm repping the Browns, and it happens to be that player's jersey.
I would like to get a Jim Brown jersey in the new.
There you go.
In the new jerseys, or an autogram. I think
Joe Thomas would be nice.
That could be fun.
I would like a Joe Thomas jersey. I don't have one. So it's partly my fault. The whole thing I'm talking about is I pick the wrong players.
Yeah, you got like Jabril Peppers, who looks good for the Giants, by the way.
Jabril Peppers was a first round pick.
Yeah, it's not like we need a safety.
I think I got his jersey like his rookie year because he only played for us for 2 years. So.
Yeah.
So that was like, a little unfair, but Josh Gordon was just a horrible decision.
Dude, I still love Josh Gordon.
Of course, I do too.
I think having a Josh Gordon jersey.
But come on, it was a bad move. The thing is, I bought it deep into like his fourth comeback too. So it's not even like, oh, we drafted Josh Gordon. He had his crazy season, and I'm like, oh, I'll buy his jersey. No, it was like, oh, we've given him 5 chances. He'll likely never play again. I'll buy his jersey. Yeah, so I probably drafted him that year in fantasy too.
Oh, I've drafted Josh Gordon
a few times.
So many times in fantasy.
What else do I have? I don't even remember now.
You got a Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett in the military.
That's safe.
Edition. So that's cool. And then Nick Chubb is my latest one. So
Nick Chubb's a great jersey.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb better be a Brown for life.
Yeah.
I don't care what it takes.
At least one extension would be nice.
I think, let's close out with this. Who's your favorite player on the Browns?
Nick Chubb right now.
Is it Nick Chubb?
For sure, yeah.
Not Myles Garrett, not OBJ.
I like Myles
Jarvis.
Garrett a lot. I think him missing time because of the helmet thing kind of, like, of course, I take his head off was my mindset in the moment, and I got real excited, and which maybe I shouldn't have, but I did. But him eventually, once I realized like what it cost the team that he lost his cool, it almost kind of put a dark cloud over his head.
I think a fun drinking game is when we play the Steelers this year. Drink every time they show that highlight.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be a lot of time.
I think
it'll probably be almost every single return from a commercial.
Yeah, break. Over under 5 times they show that highlight when we play the Steelers.
Should we do that as like a quick predict? Maybe
we will next time. Yeah, we will when we play the Steelers. That'll be fun. There you go. I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's good. I get it.
Yeah.
Soft return. We're still getting used to the flow.
Yeah. Honestly, we didn't prepare.
And obviously, going back to the player conversation, Jarvis is a top choice for me.
I love Jarvis.
And Baker for sure.
Yep.
Not a big fan of Odell, but if he performs, you know how I feel about. I don't care about his antics. I don't care about the drama. I don't care about the wearing crazy shoes and getting told to change them halfway through the game. I just care that he performs. So when he doesn't, it makes me not like him very much. And Baker, I like him a lot. Just can't make him my favorite player because there's consistency issues there. So it makes me nervous to be like, I'm all in for Baker, and then he is out by next year. I'm not saying he will be. I'm saying, if that were to happen, my heart would be broken into little tiny pieces.
This is the furthest. This is the furthest we've gone with a quarterback since Tim Couch.
Brandon Weeden we had for a while.
Yeah.
Was he? I think he played 3 seasons.
Yeah, but that was a bit of a.
Well, he was in and out too because we had like. One of the years we had Brandon Weeden, we also had like, I don't even remember his name, Josh Jacob or something like that.
Yeah, Brandon Weeden was only on our team for 2 years, and his second year he went 0-5 and only started 5 games, and he was 0-5, and then he was
never mind.
It's a blur. I get
that time is so miserable that it felt like it was like 3 to 4 seasons.
It feels like literally 100 years ago. We drafted Brandon Weeden and Trent Richardson and did that whole thing. We drafted a 29-year-old man in the first round of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
What the hell? Why?
I recently saw a tweet of some sports analyst saying that was a very smart decision by the Browns and that him and Trent Richardson were gonna like get us a Super Bowl or something.
Hey, at least we traded Trent Richardson for a first-round pick that we used to draft Johnny Manziel. In the weird twist of fate. It's hilarious. But anyways, what I'm saying with Baker is he's the first time we've had a quarterback that this is now his 3rd year as our quarterback. Like we knew going into last year and we knew going into this year that he was going to be our quarterback. I think he's the first time we've ever had the same quarterback start week 1 2 years in a row.
Sure.
I don't think that's ever happened.
What's the how much room to grow do you think that Baker has left as the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback?
I think he has an insane amount of room to grow, and we've talked about this way in the past during some draft episodes. I don't think an NFL quarterback really hits his peak or his stride until his early 30s. Sure. I think once a quarterback gets to 30, 31, that's when they're at the top of their game. From 30 to about nowadays till about 36, 37 years old. Like right now, Big Ben's 38. Aaron Rodgers is 38. Tom Brady's 43. Drew Brees is 41. All these guys. Even if you look at Matt Ryan, though, I mean, you can say what you will about the Falcons, but that dude's in his late 30s too. So I think when a quarterback gets to 29, 30, you have some exceptions, or Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, that's fine, whatever. But generally speaking, you get to about 30 years old, that's when you really start to click as a quarterback at a high level. And Baker's what, 25, 26? So he still has, in my opinion, a tremendous amount of room to grow.
Yeah, I guess more I agree, but I more was asking a question in terms of like from an organizational perspective, how much time do you think they'll give him to continue to grow? How much time do you think they'll allow mistakes like the interceptions and the turnovers and the, like, I mean, obviously his personality, we've seen the change in the interviews. It does seem like he has his head on straight and like he's committed to being the quarterback we thought he would be coming out of his rookie year. But yeah, what do you think?
I think you have to give him a long leash and a lot of time.
Sure.
Because it's just the same song and dance forever. If I'm the Browns, I'm believing in Baker. I'm building the team around Baker. I'm giving him this whole year. Unless he is just terrible, then obviously you have to consider something. If we're 3-13 at the end of the year, then obviously you have to.
He threw like 20 interceptions.
Yeah, you got to make decisions. But if we do this year what I think we're going to do, which is go. I mean, originally my predictions were probably crazier because I'm a crazy person.
You were at 13 wins, I think.
Yeah, if we win 13 games, then yeah, you build Baker a statue in front of the stadium. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. But if we go 9-7, 10-6, we get into the playoffs. Even if we lose in the first round, you have no choice but to continue with Baker into the next year.
Sure.
And then say, a year from there, whatever it is, if at the end of his 5-year deal, if he's just not cutting it, well, at least in theory, you have built a team around a quarterback to where if you bring in a rookie or a free agent to play the position, he's not walking into a shit show like every other quarterback we've ever tried to have or develop in any type of way.
Sure.
So, in my opinion, really can't go wrong. I will say that I do believe in Baker. I 100% believe in Baker. And the thing that I always remind myself too is just playing for the Browns is just hard and impossible. So of course you have a quarterback. If anyone could turn around that franchise, it'd be me. And I respect him saying that. But welcome to Cleveland, dude. It's fucking impossible.
Yeah, well,
so I'm trying to be patient with him, and he's gonna learn. He's gonna he's gonna deal with the bullshit. He's gonna have the bumps and bruises. But if he can keep getting up and he can keep getting better, if he can be humble, he's changing his footwork. He still has a great arm. I think he has the personality. I think it can definitely come together.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree to a certain extent. But I did make an observation to you, and I think it's fair to bring it up after the Week 1 loss. We used to say a lot of the times the Johnny Manziel comparisons were lazy, but I'll tell you something that 100% is a Johnny Manziel quality. It's the fact that he thought talent and talent alone was what was going to get us wins last year, and he self-admittedly didn't prepare like he did his rookie year and didn't take the season as seriously as he should have, and just the overall preparation. So, I mean, that is a Johnny Manziel quality. I mean, it really is. So, I'm not saying the comparisons are fair. I still think they were a little bit lazy, but
because people were making those comparisons
mostly because of his size
and going into his rookie year when it was way too early to.
But I think, a lot of it had to do with his run-in with the cops, did that one time during his college career, and obviously just his attitude and the grabbing his crotch and the planting the flag and all those different antics. But in the NFL, there's just not a lot of room for him to be doing that. What I do like about those antics is his aggressiveness and, like him smashing his helmet into the offensive line's helmet after they scored that first touchdown and just being fired up. I mean, I'm all for that. So.
Yeah, speaking of which, that's why another reason I love Nick Chubb is I didn't get to talk about how much I love Nick Chubb. I only asked you who your favorite player was, so you would ask me, so I could say Nick Chubb and tell you all about it.
Wait, hold on. Who's your favorite Browns player?
Nicholas Chubb.
Nice.
And here's why. Everything you said about Baker, I agree. That's wonderful. I think that's the kind of passion we want to see. The antics we want to see is not him talking game or spitting to the haters, but being fired up after plays on the field, kind of like a Tom Brady does. You know what I mean? But speaking of celebrating, I love Nick Chubb because this dude, like, he doesn't celebrate. I mean, he scores a touchdown and he's fired up, but he's just like giving daps to all his teammates, his offensive line, his other guys.
Nonchalantly, throws the underhand throws the ball at the ref.
Dude, Jim Brown's got to just be smitten with Nick Chubb because that's exactly how Jim Brown was. He didn't believe in doing celebrations or nothing like that. He was really big on being like stoic and even and approaching things all the same way. And that's exactly how Nick Chubb is. And Nick Chubb has all that incredible talent. He's definitely my favorite player on the team. I would say by a significant margin. Now, I love Baker Mayfield. He's my quarterback. I'd do anything for Baker Mayfield. I will fight for Baker. I believe in Baker. I'll be patient with Baker. I love Jarvis for a lot of the same reasons that I love Nick Chubb, is because he's a little more celebratory and a little more flashy, but Jarvis puts in the work. He's a leader. He can catch the ball with his hands. I mean, after the past 20 years, just a receiver who can consistently catch the ball with his hands is...
For a second there, it didn't look like we were going to get that from OBJ, but obviously he had the bounce back game.
He did bounce back, but it seems like, well, of course, we have receivers that can catch the ball with their hands. Well, for 20 years, we really haven't. So having Jarvis, this is a third year at the team now, he can consistently catch the ball with his hands. I just love that. I'm glad he's getting healthy. And I love Myles Garrett for similar reasons that I love Nick Chubb. He's not super flashy. He's kind of a nerd. He's kind of corny, but he's just giant, athletic beast of a man who since Myles Garrett came in the league, he's leading the NFL in pressure rates or whatever.
Yeah.
He pressures
great.
The quarterback at the highest rate.
He's great. No complaints from me.
And I love Denzel. I think he's great too. But for me, it's just got to be Nick Chubb. I can't wait. I hope this year we see Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both go over 1,000 yards.
And I would like for Nick Chubb to get the rushing title.
That would be incredible.
It's going to be difficult with a tandem, but I think it's definitely possible.
If we play like we did against the Bengals, and I think you got a real shot at it.
He's on pace for it. So two things to finish out on that I think would be fun. One, if you're watching or listening, I think tweet at us at Football Kennel and tell us who your current favorite Browns player is.
Yeah, who's
on the roster right now that is your favorite player for the Browns. And the other thing is I wanted to just look back at our, since we haven't been able to do some quick predicts because we've been lazy and bad at this whole podcast thing, I think it's fun to look back at our full schedule prediction that we did. And so far, week 1, week 2, I am
nailing it.
2-0, baby. Yep. I predicted the loss against the Ravens and the win against the Bengals. You are 1-1. Because you predicted the win against the Ravens. You had that dream.
That's the only reason. It had nothing to do with logic. I just had a dream that we were going to win opening day.
And then you predicted the win against the Bengals, which is good on you. Smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are our quick predict reveals, I guess.
Yeah, we'll be back Thursday. We're going to do our episode Wednesday night, so we'll be back Thursday, and we'll get back to your regularly scheduled programming for sure. We'll get that together. Maybe add some graphics and some fun things. I don't know. Who knows? We'll
get there.
Some cool thing. I think I got a new table. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
And the flag will be back. I forgot.
Maybe
that's on me.
Maybe we'll have something cooler.
Maybe I'll forget it.
I might have something cooler. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, follow us on Twitter and social media where we're somewhat active at Football Kennel. And
sometimes
check us out on all of your favorite podcast apps or on YouTube if you prefer watching.
Yeah, most importantly, we're on YouTube. So you can catch.
We are still there.
So subscribe, turn on your notification bell. You're supposed to say that early in the video, but we didn't.
But
I'll put up.
We're different. We're edgy.
Yeah, I'll put up a graphic or something. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers, we can run ads. Wouldn't you guys love to see some ads? Wouldn't you love to see some ads and click on them? That would be sick. Yeah, but really.
Well, yeah, we're back, guys. Sorry about that.
It would be. Yeah, apologies, but we're back for real, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see you in a few days.
And go Browns.
Go Browns.